Hello, everybody. This is Joseph Dycus with the Bay Area News Group, San Jose Mercury News and East Bay Times. It's a two-man show today. We got Nathan Canilao here. Nathan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Joseph?
I'm doing well. I'm missing our coworkers, Darren Saavedra and Christian Babcock. They are not on the show today, but don't worry. Still plenty of content, still plenty of entertainment, and plenty of hopeful insight on tonight's basketball games, of which there were few, but they were very interesting games. We'll start in the East Bay, up there in Albany, not Richmond, Albany, where Salesian played Modesto Christian. How'd that one go?
Classic Salesian. They jumped. I mean, it was a tight game early, but kind of in Salesian fashion, they break away in the end of the second quarter. Very similar to the San Ramon game last week, I believe. Mm-hmm. They just jumped on them. I mean, Bill Mellis used 11 guys pretty much throughout the first three quarters. They forced a lot of steals, pressed Modesto pretty hard. And as great as the duo for Modesto, I believe it's Gavin Sykes and Miles Jones, I believe is their names. They couldn't do it all. They couldn't do it all. And Salesian knew that. And they came out with a pretty convincing victory. I believe they won by 13, 66-53, I believe was the final score. Bench was cleared last 2 minutes. And, it was just, like I said, classic Salesian, just up in your face, pressured. And they came out of there and, you kind of just look up at the scoreboard and it's like, oh, wow, they're winning by a lot.
Yeah.
So that was quite a game. We'll see. We'll talk more about this later, but they will be at Archbishop Reardon on Saturday for that final. So
it sounds a lot like a repeat of last year. They played Modesto Christian in I guess this time it was in the second round last year. Now it's in the first round. I'm kind of curious. Were they just trapping them the whole game, or were they just doing their whole, switch everything defense? What was the Legion doing that was working?
A lot of things. They threw a lot of things at Modesto. One that particularly stood out is their just straight man-to-man press forced so many steals. I would say they're probably closer to 10 steals tonight. I don't have exact, but they were adding out a lot of steals in the press. They really Gavin Sykes is one of the more prolific scorers up here in Northern California. They did a lot to at least slow him down. I think he had a good amount of points, definitely in the double digits, but they slowed him down. I mean, a lot of double teams, a lot of bodies thrown at him. Same thing with Miles Jones. He got kind of cooking in the third quarter, but threw a lot of bodies, threw a lot of hedges, a lot of doubles. They saw a lot of looks. I think they even went zone for a possession. It was just, Salesian did their thing. They bounced back after a really tough loss on Saturday to De La Salle in the NCS Open Championship. So it was a good bounce back game for them. I think they're feeling confident going into Reardon that they can go win that game. So, they really this has been a kind of a rivalry now for the last 3 or 4 years between Modesto and Salesian. So the two squads knew each other very well, and it was pretty off the bat you could kind of tell that. But it was a great win. Elias Obania with 14 points. Carlton Paralat led the team with 19. Ronnie Solis had a really great game, playing defense, and he scored a bunch of fast break buckets. I believe he finished with 10. So it was a good game all around for Salesian.
Nice. So while you were over in Albany, I was down in Danville for the second night in a row. This time I was inside, not having to be outside in that cold weather. San Ramon Valley, they played Pinewood. It was only 25-22 at halftime, and I think I put in the group chat, wow, this is really high-level basketball. And then San Ramon Valley went on a 16-0 run over a 10-minute span and turned it into a blowout. They win 56-32, and they advanced to the next round. I got to say, San Ramon Valley, they're not the biggest team. They're not the tallest team, but they dominated the offensive glass and defensively for the second game in a row against a really high-powered offense. I was pretty stunned by it. What was your reaction when you saw that score?
Yeah, I thought it'd be much closer. I thought it'd be a wire-to-wire game for you, but I mean, it just proves how good San Ramon is, and just to do it at the way they are and how young they are. I mean, it's so impressive. If this is what they are now, I can only imagine what they're going to look like down the road. And I think a certain team in the South Bay is looking at them as well. This is this foundation. I mean, regardless of how this season ends, I mean, this is a foundation block for many years to come for San Ramon. This is I think a really connected team, and John Cristiano is just doing a great job over there. Just Coach Cristiano just really got those gals playing well, and it'll be interesting to see how they match up in their next game.
Yeah, that they did not mince words. Clovis West is 32-0, and they're very athletic. They press, and they're going to play in Clovis, so they're going to play in. I've heard that the crowds there are pretty good, pretty big, and pretty going to be a raucous environment. But you know what? At this point, I'm not going to doubt San Ramon Valley because I've doubted them for two games in a row now, and they've proven me wrong big time each time.
And Joseph, let me ask you this: do you feel like they kind of feed off that doubt?
I think it was it Caitlin Mills said that they love being the underdogs. So I definitely think they feed off it. I mean, early in the season, John Cristiano talked about how there was someone in the Bay Area that said, "Oh, Danville has no talent pool. They have no talent pool. They graduated all their starters last year, and it's going to be a rebuilding year." Well, I think this has shown that Danville does have a talent pool, a very deep talent pool. And again, kind of like you said, I mean, if this is what they're doing this year, I mean, Ella Gunderson's a sophomore, Hanya Bose is a sophomore, Caitlin Mills is a freshman. I mean, this is a team that, can you imagine 2 years from now what they're going to look like?
Yeah, I think we're looking at one of the top tier teams in the Bay Area, or maybe in all of Northern California the next 2-3 years. And it's been fun to watch them because as much as I think they've dominated the last month or so, they kind of flew under the radar, don't you think? The first couple months, not that nobody cared or didn't notice them, but it definitely felt like a lot of the conversation was around other teams in the East Bay, obviously Midi down there in the South Bay, and a lot of the WCal and even out to Oakland. San Ramon kind of, for me, felt like they just flew under the radar and they were just quietly dominating teams one by one until they got to the biggest stage and they really made it happen.
Yeah, they were like the quietest, like number 3 ranked team in the Bay Area news group. It was like, oh yeah, they won again. Oh, they won again. Oh, they won again. And maybe that's partially on us for not having gone out to a game until I think late in the year. I went to their game against Foothill. But, no offense to Foothill, but the EBAL, aside from Carondelet, isn't quite on San Ramon Valley's level. Mm-hmm. So, they've definitely shown over the last 3 games now that they are, without a doubt, I think the best team in the East Bay.
I have to agree. I think they are, like we said, they're on their way to, they're already there. If we're being honest, they're already there. They're already they're already one of the top teams in Northern California. But I do want to talk about another top team with you, Joseph, that I know that you know really well, Acalanes. They fell tonight, McClatchy, and it was a great run. It was a spectacular run. Talk to me about what you know about that game.
So it was a 57-47 game. It was a defensive battle, what Margaret Gardner told me. She texted me some details about the game. She's really going to miss this group of seniors. I mean, this group took Acalanes to heights that they had not been at since, I believe, the late 90s when they ran off all those NCS titles. It was a special year for Acalanes, even if it didn't end in an NCS title or a NorCal title or state. It was still a great group, a great run. They played probably the most entertaining brand of basketball in the Bay Area. I mean, up tempo, fast break. You don't need a shot clock because you're going to get a shot up in 10 seconds. Passing the ball. Really enjoyed watching them play. And but McClatchy, they're an open team for a reason.
Yeah.
And, now their reward is they get to go play Midi. So have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm really bummed that we weren't able to see Aka Midi. Especially this year. I think that was a matchup that obviously I think Midi would be very favored in that matchup, but nonetheless, a game that I think a lot of fans would love to have seen at least play out. But man, yeah, I like to hats off to Acalanes this year. They were great. I remember talking to Margaret earlier this year about what she felt about this group, and it was a good group. I do want to highlight one player. I mean, talking about KK Locke and what her legacy is as she will move on and graduate after this year.
So I'll plug my story here, even though they just lost. I did a story on the 5 seniors at Akalani's, and it was no secret among the 5 seniors who the leader was, and that was KK Locke. She's going to go play at St. Martin University in Washington. She's going to study nursing and play on the team at the same time, try to graduate in 4 years. But what she was for Akalani's was she was the heartbeat of that team. She was a floor general, and she was a player that she could drop 30 points. She could dish out 10 assists. She could pull up from 25 feet away from the basket, or she could finish inside. She was just one of the elite players in the Bay Area for the last couple of years now. I think she was a starter for, I believe, all 4 of her years at Akalani's.
Yeah, no, it's funny when talking to Coach Margaret Gardner earlier this year. She, for those who don't know, her brother is a boxer, a young up and coming boxer, Kyle Locke, and she said one thing that she highlighted was like she's just so tough. And I remember asking her, like, she has a boxing brother. Is it easy to spot her? Like, for someone who doesn't know that her brother's a boxer, is it easy to spot KK on the floor because of her toughness? And she was like, no question. It's she's not afraid to throw an elbow here or there, or maybe
No, she's not.
She's really really tough. I think that's probably what separated her as a point guard, especially being her size and leading a team. I think that really stood out for her. But yeah, congrats to Akalani's for a great season. Joseph, let's look
also really quickly. I would like to say too, Pinewood had a great year as well. We showered SRV with love, and they deserve it. But Pinewood had a great season. They gave Midi everything they could handle in the CCS title game, and for a half there, I was like, oh, this game's go down the wire against San Ramon Valley. But no, they had a great year as well. So I want to give a shout out to Jolyn Ding and Doc Shepler and Pinewood Panthers.
Yeah, let's look ahead to tomorrow. Those are the 3 games.
One other question. Sorry for interrupting, but shout out to Cornerstone Christian girls for advancing.
Oh yes,
NCSD or NorCal D6.
Yes,
they get the win over, I think it was Sacramento Adventist, and they move on. Now it's D6. You don't get to play at state, but they're still competing for a NorCal title. So I think they're the only Bay Area team in NorCal D6 and boys or girls. So we're keeping up with them. Yeah, no,
I'll add on to that. I mean, Cornerstone Christian, both boys and girls teams have had great years. I think they're finally kind of getting that respect that they deserve, because the last couple years they've won some NorCal and some NCS, I believe, Division 6 titles now. And I do want to give them props, because I think they're finally kind of getting recognized as one of the small school powers out there in East Contra Costa County, Antioch. Yeah.
So I want to say too, Camille Bartolo, I'm looking at the stats right here. She has 16 points and only 24 minutes for Cornerstone Christian, leading the way. So
yeah.
But looking ahead now, does Salesian have a chance against Reardon, against the Purple Powerhouse?
If you just look at it as a novice, and if you just compare the schedules and you go roster by roster, I think a lot, maybe a casual watcher of basketball would look at it and go, oh, Reardon, like, not even a question. But as you know, Joseph, Salesian and Reardon, I mean, these 2 teams are tailor-made for each other. We talk about, to bring another boxing reference in here, styles make fights. This is a perfect style for, if there's any team that could really upset Salesian, I do believe upset Reardon, it is Salesian. They just match up well. I mean, defenders everywhere. They kind of are the antithesis to Reardon's high-scoring offense. They're a, kind of grind it out, make defense turn into offense type of team. And, when you have Bill Mellis as a coach, I mean, you really can't go wrong. I mean, you're going to be in games. And so I do think Salesian has a chance. They cannot let Reardon get up ahead too much. But I think if they could keep it in the final quarter to like
5 to 8,
I give them a shot, because the way they play defense, the way that they can just kind of turn it on defensively, I don't know if Reardon, I mean, they've seen them already. And, let's be honest, if it wasn't for a string of missed free throws up at Gridley, Salesian would have won that game earlier this year. So
now, two questions. One, what did Salesian players say about Reardon? I'm sure they said all the right things, but what were they saying about it? And how much? I mean, they did that. Gridley. That was a close game, but that was at Gridley. Salesian got to play them in San Francisco, and I've been to that gym. First of all, really cool gym. Old school. It looks cool, but it's also really tight. It's compact, which Salesian's used to that, but. I mean, that's going to be a great home court advantage for Reardon. But what are the players saying about the matchup?
Yeah, I mean, they said all the right things. They want to get ready. They're going to prepare the right way. They're going to have 2 days to prepare. I know if you're not an open team, you've had a game practice type of schedule this week. But Salesian will have 2 days to prepare for what will be a really good contest. And yeah, the players were. They said all the right things. They respect Reardon as a team. They really do believe this is going to be a challenge. Talking to Bill Mellis, I mean, he took it a step further. He said, "Hey, we gotta contain a lot of size. We gotta do a lot of these. They are athletic. They're great. A lot of players. So he knows it's going to be a challenge. But I think it's a challenge they're up for. They are going to take. Talking to Ronnie Solis, it does seem like they are going to take a kind of a underdog mentality into that game." Which is kind of rare to say for Salesian, who's been so dominant over the last couple of years. But yeah, that's kind of where they're at. And I think that's good for them. If they want to go into Reardon, you have to respect them, but you can't look at them in awe either. I think too many WCal teams have kind of suffered from that a little bit this year, looking at them kind of bigger than what maybe they should be. But should be a great game. Joseph, who do you have in that game?
I mean, I wouldn't be stunned if Salesian pulled off an upset. I mean, last year wasn't it like 49-45 or something like that, or some low scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Reardon is just so good, and they're so talented at every stinking position. I mean, it's just 1 through 5, guy 1 through 10 on the bench. They're all good, I think they're better than they were last year, and Salesian was better last year than they are this year. And they only won by what, 3, 4?
Yeah. So it's I'm with you there. I'm actually with you. I think I wouldn't be shocked if Salesian pulled it off, but I'm going to take Reardon in this one. Do think it's just they're also a different team than they were earlier this year. They're rolling. It just feels like this is a Reardon type of year. So I'm gonna go with Reardon. If I have to pick a score, I think it's still gonna be close. I think it's gonna be somewhere around 62-54. Comfortable win. I think maybe Salesian gets it to like within 5 with about 2 minutes left. But I do think Reardon's gonna hit some free throws, and then maybe I think there might be a dagger 3 or somewhere in there for them. But should be a good matchup.
I was gonna say 61-65, 61-55. So I think we're kind of on the same page here. I don't think Reardon blows them out by any means, but I think maybe Reardon's up by about 10 for most of the game, and it's about that. They don't blow them out, but it's a comfortable lead. I will say, looking at the other matchups, De La Salle plays I believe Folsom.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about that in yesterday's show, but. De La Salle, we don't know the status of Alec Blair. That's going to determine a lot. Yeah,
that will be. I mean, from what all I could hear, I've all heard, he's trying to play. And again, I mean, it did help that the committee for CIF put in 5 teams because it gave Alec. Because if that wasn't the case, we'd be looking at probably De La Salle playing Folsom tonight, right? So,
right.
It's definitely a good thing for De La Salle in that sense, but we will see. I'm sure, regardless of if he suits up or not, if he does suit up, I do think he will be at least a little compromised. I mean, it was a bad ankle sprain, and we saw how that all played out on Saturday. So we'll see. I think
Maybe he'll pull a Willis Reed, who'll come out, hit a couple of mid-range jumpers, and then inspire the team and the rest of from there.
yeah.
Also, midi girls, they're gonna play. I think they are probably the most under the radar one seed I've ever seen. Just kind of going along. They're gonna play McClatchy.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to freshman Malia Hunter for winning the WCal Player of the Year.
Wow.
Which I will say, the last time that not the first time that's happened, a couple of years ago, McKenna Velishko won WCal Player of the Year as a freshman.
Yeah, no, that's a big accomplishment. I do believe that midi. I do agree with you. They're just kind of floating under the radar as a one seed. I think part of it maybe we're getting a little midi fatigue. I think people might be getting a little midi fatigued from all the dominance.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, whether it's Clovis West or San Ramon Valley that they face, granted they need to get past McClatchy. Yes. I'm not trying to put that away, definitely got to get past McClatchy. But if say they do, whoever is waiting on the other side, I think has a good shot of beating them. I mean, we've seen like you said, San Ramon has been very good.
They've been very good.
Very, very good. And so, I mean, Clovis West is not lost.
I will say, I would be really hesitant to pick San Ramon Valley in a hypothetical matchup with midi. But I will say, it's not like SRV is just squeaking by Acalanes or squeaking by Pinewood. They are straight up dominating these other teams in a way that you would expect like a midi to dominate other great teams. So, look, maybe by the time if SRV can pull it off against 32-0 Clovis West down in Clovis, I might talk myself into picking SRV as like a team of destiny. But I'm not willing to do that quite yet. They got to beat Clovis first.
Definitely got to get past Clovis. That's going to be that's a tough matchup. Clovis West, from what I understand, is a long, athletic team that can get up and play defense. That's going to be a tough game. And, for your San Ramon Valley, you do got to make that, 2.5 hour drive to Fresno. So that's not that's tough. But in that gym, I've never been to that gym, but watching it on video this last year, all those shout out to NFHS Network or
shout
whoever. It's a small gym. It's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be packed. But I think if any team's ready for it, it's San Ramon. So we shall see on that one. I know, Joseph, we talked a little bit about Thursday's games yesterday, but just to rehash, is there a game? We'll just pick one game, but is there a game that tomorrow that stands out to you in terms of, maybe a game that you think is going to have a bunch of either fireworks or, something cool might happen at one of these games?
You know what? I want to know. I mean, what's going to happen with Piedmont and San Joaquin Memorial? San Joaquin Memorial in the girls' side, they beat the number 1 seed Folsom. According to the always accurate NorCalPreps.com message boards, apparently Folsom was missing 2 of their starters, and it was an overtime game, so that might have something to do with it. But I am looking forward to that one, and then. You know what? I will say down in Division 2, Milpitas, can they keep it rolling?
Yeah, that's gonna be. I was at Albany tonight, but the talk of the media at the game was what's going on with Milpitas, because they're an interesting story. They're just a very interesting story. I think they really caught a lot of people by surprise this year. And it's we've seen them, and we'll have Glenn Reeves covering that game when they play Clovis East tomorrow. But I think they're making some noise. People from the East Bay talking about it. Surely down south is Peter. I'm sure there's a lot of hype down there. So that'll be a great game. Joseph, I have 2 games. I'll mention the first one down in girls Division 4. We got Mills hosting Castilleja. I am interested in that game.
The Peninsula action.
Yeah, some Peninsula action. It'll be interesting. Mills getting a home game, their second home game now. I wonder, do they just keep rolling? Like, this team feels different. They did get a good win on yesterday. So that'll be interesting. And then on the boys' side, there's a couple of cool games. I think I'll be, just for full disclosure, I'll be in Stockton for Moreau Catholic at Lincoln or Stockton. I think that would be a great game. Obviously, I'm covering that, but I mean, Alhambra are going on the road to Argonaut. I don't know who that is.
I don't know where the Argonaut. I thought Argonaut was a video game, but
I have no idea where that is. But you know what? Alhambra going on the road. I mean, like I said yesterday, do these teams know what Alhambra is? Do they know how battle tested the Bulldogs are? I mean, man, this group led by Samuel Gillespie, their lead point guard. I mean, it's just a special kind of group right now, and I think they're rolling. I think being placed in this division, I'd feel a little bit different if they were in Division 4. But
using the power of Google Maps, Argonaut is a high school in Jackson, California, which is actually east of Elk Grove, kind of equidistant between I guess Lodi and Elk Grove, right there, and form a nice little triangle. In other words, it's pretty far away from was it Mills?
Very far away from Martinez.
Martinez. Probably from Martinez. So it's a bit of a drive.
To be exact, it's going to be an hour and 46-minute drive. This is as of right now with no traffic. I'm sure when they leave tomorrow, there's going to be some traffic. So you're looking at about 2-hour drive for Alhambra High School there. But I do believe that's going to be interesting. I mean, if they can get out of that one, I believe they might set up another matchup with International San Francisco, a rematch of Division 5. So we shall see there. I'm excited to see that one. But yeah, a lot of games. I'll name some off.
Also, want to throw this out here. I believe is it Priory is playing in the girls' side. Priory is playing St. Mary's Stockton, and some years might actually be an open. I mean, you would think that could have been an open game some years, right?
Oh yeah, I mean St. Mary's Stockton. I think from what I've heard is that they've had a couple injuries and some transfers that that had to join late. So that's kind of reflective of their record. But man, that's a great game as well.
And then almost forgot. So full transparency, I'm going to be in Concord for De La Salle Bellarmine Soccer, which should be a great game. Two of the storied programs and just in the Bay Area, semifinal. But after the game, I'm going to take the short walk across the street to Carondelet to watch Bishop O'Dowd play Carondelet in a rematch of last year's NorCal final.
That should be a fun one. Kelly Sopak versus Malik McCord, just a premium coaching matchup there, if you will.
Cal Stars versus Jason Kidd, AAU, right there.
Yeah, this is premier matchups right here, man. I think that'll be a fun one. A couple just to name off. On the boys' side, we got Liberty at SRV. SI will be going down to Fresno to play Buchanan, and Oakland Tech. This is all Division 1. Will be playing at Inderkum. Another couple of cool ones. Clayton Valley is going to go to Rockland. Mm-hmm. Man, all these games are in the Central Valley and Sacramento area. They didn't do the Bay Area any favors in terms of home games, man.
No, they didn't.
Oakland's going to be playing at Destiny Christian. Those Wildcats pulling off the upset against Valley Christian. So can they beat another? I mean, Valley Christian, Destiny Christian. We'll see. Archbishop Mitty is going to go to Jesuit Carmichael up there, also near Sacramento. And then Clovis East is going to go to Milpitas. We have Aptos playing TKA. I think that's a great game. Carmont's playing at University. Enterprise Reading is going to go to Palo Alto. We got Berkeley. Don't count out those Yellow Jackets going down to Salinas. They're going to go down to Salinas, and they're going to play Palma.
Yeah.
Natomas is going to play Priory Boys. That's going to be a good one. And then obviously some girls games. Yeah, we got a bunch.
I was going to say, too, Cornerstone Christian girls, they're going to be playing Ferndale in a rematch of the NCS final that Cornerstone lost by 1 point. Wow. So this might be 5 versus 1, but it's anyone's game.
And that's a back-to-back?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do do you have any parting shots, Nathan, as we wrap up this exciting episode?
You know what? I do have some party shots. I do want to thank some of those Modesto Christian parents out there when I was at Albany today. They watched the show, which I was shocked. I didn't know that we have reached, got out there, but it did. Salesian parents did like our show too, that we've been watching, so we appreciate it. Yeah, well, I'm excited. I mean, if you want to go to a game tomorrow, I mean, you might as well just hang out down there in the 209 or in the 916. I mean, if all the games are down there, man. So it'll be a fun day tomorrow. And then obviously you can catch us Saturday for the regional semifinals. We'll be out there all throughout Saturday as well. So anything you got, Joseph?
I'm excited to see how many of these teams advance. We're getting to the point now where, like, oh man, it's starting to get real. These the number of teams keeps going down, and you start wondering, oh, who are we going to see in the state final in Sacramento? You start thinking, oh, could it be this team? Could it be that team? Every year it seems like we have a couple teams, and especially in the lower brackets, that you're like, oh, they made it, and then they won it. So I wonder who that team's going to be. Maybe it's Mills, maybe it's Alhambra, maybe it's Castellea. Who knows? Maybe it's Encinal, my Encinal Jets. So
we'll see. I mean, last year we had Athenian win. I mean, I don't know if the only team in Danville to win a state title last year. And then we had Oakland High, coming out of nowhere to beat a really talented, I believe it was Montgomery, San Diego team.
No, that was Bishop O'Dowd that played Montgomery.
Oh, okay. Montgomery. Yeah, they've got a very talented team out of San Diego. Can't remember their name.
Verdugo Hills?
Nah, I was Athenian. I'm trying to think of who Oakland played. I can't remember.
Regardless, hey, it's late at night.
Yeah.
All I know is that last year Oakland High was the champs, and this year Oakland High boys, they got a tough test at Destiny Christian, but you never know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see with that. I mean, OAL, at least on the boys side, getting well represented. I know their girls have been eliminated, but still got Tech, still got Oakland. So we'll see what happens there. Thank you guys for listening. We will be back tomorrow. Probably full crew, most likely tomorrow. We're hoping Christian feels a little bit better, and we can have him the full show. But we'll have a full crew, and we'll talk a little bit more tomorrow.
All right. With that said, we are done.